I'd like to welcome to our interview today Elizabeth. She is an English teacher at a local middle school. Thank you for being here today, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Now, as you know, I'm going to start teaching this August. It's going to be my first teaching job. So I would like this interview to focus on a topic that's a concern to teachers, all teachers, but especially first year teachers. And that is the topic of classroom management. My first question is, what are your views on establishing classroom procedures versus establishing classroom rules?
Well, classroom management is the most important thing about teaching and probably the hardest thing for a new teacher to really acquire that skill. It takes a lot of practice and it's truly learned just through trial and error. For me personally, rules I keep pretty minimal because once you establish really clear procedures about how class should run every day, it's not necessary to have an extensive list of rules. The behavior just seems to fall into place perfectly when you have the right procedures in your classroom that kind of keep things flowing, keep students busy and working and really on task.
All right, so you advocate establishing procedures over establishing rules. How much time should a teacher spend on discussing and modeling these procedures with their students?
I definitely advocate establishing procedures over rules, absolutely. And the first couple weeks of school really set the tone for the entire rest of the school year. So that first day of school, for example, I try to be really on my game, very focused, modeling all the procedures I want to happen in class, and I try to make that class be as perfect as it can be. But as far as how long do I model procedures, I model them continuously throughout the year. I never stop. If I see anything going awry, off the way that the established routine, for example, I would definitely redirect the whole class at that point and say, remember our procedure for doing this is, and restate for them the procedure when they need those reminders, because of course that's going to happen. That's just a natural part of teaching. But definitely the first week I spend a lot of time modeling procedures, really focusing on it and diving right in there. And I do that by starting my instruction immediately on that first day of school. A lot of times kids come to class that first day and think that they're going to have a day to sit around, not do a whole lot, just listen to a teacher talk about what the rules are, but that's not what I do at all. The first day of school they come in, I say, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with class today. We're going to start with silent reading. We will do that every day of the school year for the first 20 minutes class. After that, we will move on to studying our literature book. So I explain to them what a class looks like, and then we actually jump right in there and do it. And once you establish that kind of procedure, when kids walk in the door, they know exactly what to expect, what to do, and it really minimizes behavior problems that you would have.
All right, now I'd like to move on to the specific procedures. What are two of the most essential procedures that all teachers should implement and why?
Well, for me, definitely how to enter the classroom, as I previously stated, it's really important. It sets the tone for everything else that's going to happen. So I start my class with a quiet activity before we move on to more discussion-based activities. So when my students walk in, since I am a language arts teacher, they sit down, they get out their reading material, they start reading. I walk around and monitor, look at what they're reading, document it, write down the page number they're on, and I keep a log of that every single day. So they expect me to do that. So I'm checking in on their progress in their reading, and they know that they're supposed to come in, sit down, and get started with their reading. So for me, entering the classroom is a really important procedure. Movement around the classroom is also an important procedure too. I mean, something as simple as how do you get up and sharpen your pencil, or put away a book that you selected at the beginning of class and put it back on the bookshelf. All of these things really matter. I mean, for example, you wouldn't want a student right in the middle of you starting a class discussion to get up and start putting things away or sharpen their pencil. So I kind of see that as classroom etiquette. So I model and teach and talk about appropriate classroom movement and etiquette. Like, make good choices about when you choose to get up and sharpen that pencil.
All right. Now I'd like to talk about the number of procedures and rules that teachers should implement. Is this one case where less is more?
I think that less on rules is definitely more. Good classroom management really goes down to procedures. Just kids knowing what is expected, what to do, at what time is really the most important thing. Having no procedure and a huge long list of rules is not a good idea at all. So definitely less rules is best. And really you don't need a lot of rules if you have established really good procedures in your classroom.
And to conclude our interview, what are some quality resources that a beginning teacher can reference regarding classroom management?
Wow. Well, I've been teaching for a while, but in the beginning of my career, I know I watched some Harry Wong videos. I had a book by him as well. I found him to be a really good go-to person on how to run a classroom, and a lot of the things that he said then still really ring true to me today, and really influenced, I think, the way I run my classroom.
All right, that will conclude our interview. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you.